Hello, Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you. Today, what I'm going to talk about is how to teach a procedural skill. So let me first share my screen with you. So we are talking about is teaching for the learning of the skill. And by mean skill, I mean the psychomotor skills. There are three domains of learning: knowledge, skill, and attitude. And teaching of each one of them is different. But before starting a session of teaching skill, there are three things to be done. First, you have to read. Then you have to sort out the information which you have read and also make a checklist. You must read the topic and information from the books that the students read that are included in the syllabus, in which relevant information is given about teaching of skill. After that, what you should do is you should sort out the information into facts, concepts, and principles. You should also write down the equipment required to perform a procedural skill and also the steps of performing a skill. Once you have written these things, then additional thing which is very important to do is to make a checklist of the steps of the procedure which you want to teach the students. Now, what information should be made available to the learner who develops a skill? Before practice, the learner should be made aware of the instructional objectives about the session, overview of the task or the procedure, and how the task is performed. And when he's doing practice of the skill during learning, then there are often critical cues available to the learner. The learner cannot discriminate them from the flood of information as a novice. He must be helped to discriminate critical cues which are available to him, which will result in performance of the skill. When he's performing a skill, he's going through the steps correctly. And after once they have done a skill, the learner needs to be given a constructive feedback. Now, it is very important to note the conditions of the practice of the skill, which helps in learning of the procedure or the skill. As a general rule, more frequent practice sessions are done, or in a session more frequently, the procedure is repeated again and again, broken by rest, is helpful in learning the skill. Not only even that, just thinking over a task, what equipment is required, then what are the steps which are involved in that, and just thinking in the mind and doing steps in the mind and researching and rehearsing it in one's mind can improve the performance. Ghana's 9 events or conditions of instructions are very important. If these conditions are met in a lesson, then a very good learning occurs. These are: first event of instruction is gain attention, state outcomes. So therefore, when you are teaching students a procedural skill, then you must not only gain attention, but you should maintain their attention, as the attention tends to fall after 10 minutes or so. You must state the outcomes of what are the instructional objectives of this session. For example, if the session is to take temperature using thermometer, then you must tell that you would be able to take a temperature of a patient using a mercury thermometer. Then one must stimulate the recall of prior knowledge, which is the third event, of what information they already know what is their pre-existing knowledge? For example, in taking a temperature of the skill, are they aware what a mercury temperature, mercury thermometer is? They may be only aware of the electronic thermometer, what temperature is, in what degree it is measured, and so on and so forth. Then you present the stimulus material. In this case, you are going to tell them, okay, we are going to use a thermometer, or these are the steps which are going to use. Then provide the learning guidance. And when providing the learning guidance, the student is performing the procedure skill, that is eliciting the performance, which is a sixth event, then provide feedback on the performance. Obviously, the eighth event is assess performance. Once the student has learned and you know that the outcome he has achieved, now you want to test him. And then obviously enhance retention and transfer. Whatever approach we use in teaching the skill, fourth event, present stimulus material, provide learning guidance, elicit performance, provide feedback on the performance. In all approaches, they're present. Two approaches are commonly used. One is the ATLS, Advanced Trauma Life Support model of teaching a skill. Other is Peyton's 4-stage or 4 steps method. So let us teach the student using stages in teaching or procedure skill, Peyton's 4-stage approach. Phase 1, it is demonstration. That is, the instructor demonstrates the skill at an average speed, which is the normal speed. Phase 2 is deconstruction, in which the instructor demonstrates the skill by breaking it into simple steps so that the student is aware of what are the steps in performing the skills and which step precedes the other one. Step 3 is formulation. Here, it is the instructor which is demonstrating the skill while being talked through the steps by the student, meaning by the teacher performs the skill, but the student tells or articulates the step, and once a student articulates the step, the teacher performs the step. And lastly, the performance, the student performs the skill and describes the step. Now remember these things, one may have to repeat one phase many times before going to the next phase. For example, phase 2 of deconstruction. Once complete, the instructor might ask, you have seen all the steps, are you clear about that? And if there is some confusion, then again, one has to repeat the phase of deconstruction till student is very clear about that. In stage 3, again, one teacher might have to do 2 or 3 times, because if the student is not talking through the steps correctly or forgetting, and obviously after performance, the student performs the skill and describes the step. It means the constructive feedback is not only given at the end, it might be important in step 2, which is deconstruction, formulation, that the student has to be corrected. Let me give you or show you an example of take this skill. And when you're going to see this video, I'm sorry, you're going to see me talking in a language of Urdu also, a language of English also. For those who cannot understand Urdu language, my sincere apologies, but you can get a sense what they're doing. Let me first check whether the audio is working. Yes, the audio is working. So let's listen to it. Let's learn now how a skill is taught. And
You don't have to practice a very complex scale. Even a small scale like taking temperature, which is very important for undergraduate students, or teach them. So let me give you an example according to Python's principle. Okay? ये हमारे पेशेंट हैं, उसकी सब, और आई एम गोइंग टू टेक हिज टेम्परेचर.
This is step 1.
मेरा नाम डॉक्टर इरफान है. मैं आपका आज टेम्परेचर लेना चाहूँगा. जी जरूर. क्या इजाजत है? जी इजाजत है. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. इजाजत बोल के नीचे रखूँ. ये हम तकरीबन 1.5 मिनट के लिए रखेंगे. निकाल नॉर्मल है आपका, इसको आपका टेम्परेचर जो है वो 98.2 डिग्री फ़ारेनहाइट. This was the first step of Python, and which we have said is demonstration. Now I'm going to do is deconstruction. इसमें इस complex task को मैं individual steps को break करूँगा और एक एक step बताऊँगा और फिर साथ साथ में काम करूँगा. जो बता रहा हूँ मैं, इसको मैं teach कर रहा हूँ, मैं सर तफसील को. देखिए आप सबसे पहले आएंगे, सबसे पहले आपका बात प्रोग्राम समझने के बाद अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम इरफान है. इसके बाद आप परमिशन लेंगे तो काम करना चाहते हैं, अगर इजाजत दें तो मैं टेम्परेचर लेंगे अभी. तो फिर इंस्ट्रूमेंट को करेंगे आइडेंटिफाई करके. नेक्स्ट इज थर्मोमीटर निकालेंगे. थर्मोमीटर निकालने के बाद फिर इसको हम झटके देंगे रिस्ट को. झटके देने के बाद हम इसमें जो मर्क्यूरी कॉलम है इसको देखेंगे तो क्या ये एरो से नीचे है या नहीं. मुझे इस एरो से नीचे ये कंफर्म कर दिया. ये करने के बाद हम इसको जो पेशेंट है उसकी बगल के अंदर आर्म में रखेंगे और इस चीज का ख्याल रखेंगे कि ये बाहर ना निकला हो उसका. डेढ़ मिनट हम वेट करेंगे और टाइम हम घड़ी से रखेंगे. जब 1.5 मिनट खत्म हो जाएगा हम घड़ी से परमिशन लेके थर्मोमीटर निकालेंगे. निकाल के इसको टेम्परेचर देंगे. टेम्परेचर देख के हम घड़ी को बता देंगे तो उसका टेम्परेचर आपका टेम्परेचर 98.4. Now the third step, and the important thing in the third step is, okay, now I am going to do the procedure again, but I am not going to proceed till the student doesn't tell me the steps. So मुझे step बताएगा, मैं उसके order को follow करूँगा. सबसे पहले सलाम कीजिए और अस्सलाम वालेकुम और अपना तारुफ कराएं. मेरा नाम डॉक्टर इरफान है. मैं आपका टेम्परेचर चेक करना चाहता हूँ, क्या इजाजत है? बिल्कुल इजाजत है. और थर्मोमीटर ले लीजिए. यहाँ से थर्मोमीटर उठाइए और इसको खोलिए
और इसका मंथली लेवल देखिए कि वो एरो से नीचे होना चाहिए। सो इसको रिस्क पे झटकिए और अब इसका लेवल देखिए कि एरो से नीचे। अब पेशेंट से परमिशन लेकर इसको उसकी बगल के नीचे रखिए।
इजाजत हो तो मैं आपको घर नीचे रखूं।
जी जी। अब तो घड़ी से टाइम देखकर तकरीबन 1.5 मिनट जो है वो वेट कीजिए। जब 1.5 मिनट हो जाए तो पेशेंट से परमिशन लेकर इसको निकाल लीजिए।
जी इसको निकालना चाहूँ।
अब इसको दोबारा टेम्परेचर देखिए, जो भी रिजल्ट हो पेशेंट को बता दीजिए।
आपका 4 है, शुक्रिया बहुत शुक्रिया। अब ये जरूरी नहीं कि स्टेप आपने एक दफे करना हो। पर अगर ये स्टेप हमने इनके साथ बहुत दफा किया, 3-4 दफा किया, क्योंकि आप देखिए कि फर्स्ट टाइम बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेप था कि थर्मामीटर को निकाल के उसको झटके देना, मगर इनके जहन में ये स्टेप बाद में आया, तो हमने इसकी रिहर्सल करके इसको ठीक किया। सिमिलरली अगर आप देखें, जब सेकंड टाइम मैंने इनको बताया था तो उसमें आखिर में शुक्रिया करने का नहीं बताया। So it is not this thing case you do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It is important that don't go to step 2 till step 1 is finished. Don't go to step 3 till the student has mastered the step 2, has seen the step 2 very clearly. Don't go to step 3 till step 2 is done, and then don't go to step 4 till you are sure and you have assessed the student knows step 3, because knowing step 3 is most important. If you think of it. Now we are going to go the fourth step, which is the which is now he is going to demonstrate it, and I am going to just keep quiet and see, and then give feedback to him on his performance. Sir, kindly
मैं डॉक्टर सी हूँ, क्या आप जल्द नहीं कि मैं आपको तनकीद से कहूँ?
आज ही मेरी जिसम टूटी जा रहा है, सारी चला हो गया।
जल्द तक आपको बदल किसी अब हम बड़ी देखेंगे 1.5 मिनट टाइम ज्यादा सारी मामले इसलिए आप टेंपरेचर ना
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर। Now is the time to give a constructive feedback. सर माशाल्लाह आपने बहुत अच्छा टेम्परेचर लिए और आपका टेम्परेचर इसलिए सही दिया है कि स्टेप्स कितने थे वो आपने क्लियरली सारे फॉलो किए, ना सिर्फ फॉलो किए बल्कि उसको सीक्वेंस में गए जिसके साथ हमने इसको लर्न किया। सो दैट इज वेरी गुड। अब सर आप ऐसे कीजिए ना, मैं वो फोन कर रहा हूँ, मैं जल्दी सबूत उनके वार्ड मेडिकल वार्ड में जाएं, मैंने बताया करके आप आ जाएंगे, तो वो आपको जितने पेशेंट्स हैं वहाँ पे 10 पेशेंट जिनके वार्ड में उनका आप टेम्परेचर लीजिए और टेम्परेचर देख के एक कागज में लिख दीजिए, तो लिखने के बाद आप सभी को दिखा दीजिएगा कि हम ले चुके हैं, तो मेरे इल्म है कि रफली टेम्परेचर लोगों का क्या है। इंशाअल्लाह अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
So I hope now that you like this presentation and wish you best of luck. Have a good day. Bye bye. See you again.